Well, we all read about it, we hear about it, and sometimes we live the experiences of having an affair when one of the parties, or both of them, are married. Well, this book, The Other Woman's Affair, says, by way of a subtitle, gambling your heart and reclaiming your life when your partner is married. So there's not a whole lot of finger pointing and accusations made in this book by Paul DePompo. And Paul, I thank you so much for being here with a doctor in psychology. I'm going to ask you something that my psychotherapist wife asked me this morning before breakfast.
Okay.
She said, ask Paul if there isn't a type of woman who specifically seeks married men because there's less a commitment.
There is, but it's the minority of the women. The majority of the women have been duped, and I'd love to talk to you about that, but there is about less than a third or a quarter of the women, they do it because they think that, oh, this is easy, I could handle it, because of their attachment style, you know, in terms of maybe they weren't attached in a real secure way, so they feel like, all right, this is a way I can get control. But what ends up happening is that they dupe themselves and they actually really end up falling, because these married people, they're often very charming and hard to resist.
Was that a good question?
It was an excellent question. So
thank you, honey.
Yeah, thank you. Great.
Aren't other women always, though, by society, thought of as the villains?
They are, and it's very sad, because in most situations, they have no idea that the marriage is still going on in pure form. They think it's at the tail end or over. So they get duped. And when they find out, it's usually a little bit down the line, and they're at this like values struggle where they're like, oh, I know this is wrong, I know this is against my values, but I think this is true love. So that's where their anxiety comes out, and they just try to like struggle and deal with it. And that's why we researched them and wrote the book.
Yeah, but during the research, I mean, you're a Newport Beach guy,
Yes.
Dr. DePompo.
Yes.
How did you find the women that are in this book so willing to give you the inside story of every facet of their affairs?
I know, you're right. I did travel around outside, but you're right. You would think not a lot of people would want to open up about it since it's such a taboo subject. But, you know, when you think about it, up to 40% of married people report having affairs. So if there's,
Wait a minute, wait.
Yes.
What was that percentage?
Yes, up to 40% nowadays
Of married people?
report having affairs, which is kind of crazy but true. And if you think about it, yes, that could be, let's just say there's 60 million married couples. Think about how many others there are. We're talking about a crazy amount to
There's another watching right now. I'm not even going to tell you what town she's in.
Okay.
But she's watching right now, and she is involved with an affair.
Yes.
With a married man. What are her chances of that turning into a lifelong relationship?
Without having read the book or knowing any other information, she has about a 10% chance of it working out.
So all the excuses that he gives about, well, it's a holiday, so I have to be with my family,
Yes.
and my son is playing Little League ball, and, you know, I still care about you, honey,
Yes.
but I'm really tied up at home.
Yes. You do that too well, by the way, but
What was the percentage
no,
of
it
married?
was only 10. No, it was only 10% that really actually left for the woman, but what ended up being, I call it a Ponzi scheme. It's like Ponzi love scheme, where it's like give, 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 give. I hope that this is gonna give me the prize, and more often than not, it doesn't. So
There
this.
seems to be an ethnic theme here with Ponzi and DePompo, though. I mean, we have to be very careful about making generalities. Before you leave, very quickly,
Yes.
30 seconds, any surprises when you were doing the research for the book?
Yes, first, the level of anxiety that these people were holding on to. And it's sort of like they were shoving all this anxiety and all that discrepancy we were talking about between fact and fiction into a closet, and then the closet keeps like bursting open and they're trying to shove it back in, and it just gives them so much anxiety.
Any way for people to meet you while you're visiting in the Valley? Where can they find the book?
Well, they could find the book really anywhere, especially online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and they could give me a call. Feel free to ask me advice. I'm an open book.
Okay, right. Here it is, The Open Book by Paul DePompo, The Other Woman's Affair. Look out.